Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry. And back again here at FantasyLabs doing another lineup review. I'm going to be reviewing quite a few lineups. Had a really nice weekend. Could have been my best weekend ever if a couple things went differently in terms of where lineups went. But I'll be reviewing a $1,000 double up, a big Thursday tournament, the Millionaire Maker, and a qualifier. So had a lot of thoughts on this week, and I think everything was pretty accurate in terms of what we predicted here at Fantasy Labs, and we'll go through the lineups and decisions that I had. So starting off here, we're looking at a 1K double up. So this is a really sharp field. There's 75 entrants. It's a $1,000 double up, and basically, the top 40-some% double their money. And a lot of the top pros are in this, and definitely a good tournament to look at to gauge ownership for sharp plays. So the cash game team that I rolled out this weekend, this was my main cash game team, performed pretty well. Very, very pleased with it. And I'll go through my process here of why I chose each player. So I thought Ryan Tannehill was the chalk. Talked about him extensively in the model preview. Almost all the Fantasy Labs content that we had out there pertaining to quarterback pointed towards Ryan Tannehill. He was the number one in my model, and he had a solid game. Started off pretty poorly, just like Cam Newton in week 2. Threw an interception right away, but definitely think he was the right choice, and he was 36% owned here. The matchup with Cleveland and just the whole situation set up for him to have a great game. So he used Christian Michael at 33% as well. I thought he was one of the chalk running backs. That was a trickier decision this week, was what to do with running back. So many value plays, and as you can see here, I also played Shane Vereen, who ended up being a great value play with the news that Jennings was out. Shane Vereen this week was only 3,700, and I thought he made a fantastic play, given his basically skills as a pass-catching running back. Antonio Brown at 50%, he was a lock for me. I played Antonio Brown all the time on DraftKings. He's going to lead the league in receptions and probably yards, and he'll be the number one receiver, in my opinion, all year. And, the other sharps thought the same way, even after a bad week, which is one thing that's huge in DFS. There's a lot of recency bias that people have when you look at guys, and I think, some other people were off Antonio Brown, given his game log that we're looking at here. Had that awful game against Cincinnati, but still was a great play in week 3, in my opinion. Looking at his targets, 11, 11, and then 18 versus Philly. That's what you're looking for when you're paying a premium price for a receiver. Then I had Amari Cooper, who was the only real bust that I had this weekend. Still really high in him. I'm a big believer in buying young talent, and you can see that throughout my lineups. I generally play younger players than other guys, and I think Amari Cooper will still end as a top 10 receiver this year, and I will continue to invest in him going forward. Jarvis Landry, the chalkiest receiver, 57% owned here. Pairing him with Ryan Tannehill was basically a must. I don't need to get too much into it, but if we take a look, he's going to get a ton of targets. And with his price and what he's capable of, he's going to be a great play and good matchups for the Dolphins. Dwayne Allen at tight end, I really liked him. I wanted a piece of this Colts passing attack, and with Dante Moncrief out, I thought Dwayne Allen had a really good chance to get in the end zone. Didn't pay off, honestly, but I really liked Dwayne Allen quite a bit. I thought he'd be the number one red zone target for Andrew Luck in a game that was expecting a lot of scoring. And then I went Charles Sims in my flex. I wanted 3 running backs, given all the value. And Sims is not a great runner, but he's great out of the backfield. And as you can see here, 8 targets, 69 yards, 6 catches, and did actually get a rushing touchdown from up close. So I thought he was a great play on DraftKings because of his pass catching upside. So feel good about this team in cash. Had a great cash game weekend, and hopefully you guys did as well. Moving on to the next tournament, the Millionaire Maker. I made all these teams on Fantasy Labs with our multi-lineups tool, and man, did I come close to winning the million. You can see here's all my entries. Had a ton of teams way up there. You can see just a ton of teams over 200. And, this final team actually had D'Angelo Williams, who I wasn't quite as high on, but I ended up hedging him in quite a bit because, he was going to be so heavily owned, and he gets so many touches, and a really disappointing game from him. I had the Chiefs at 1%, which was a really, really high upside. Good leverage defense. There's so much recency bias on defenses, and Kansas City, in my opinion, was a great play, especially at home versus a quarterback who throws a ton. and I love their special teams as well. But we look at the team here. I went with Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson stack, paired it with Marvin Jones, who I thought was a must. I really liked Marvin Jones this week, and he was the top scoring receiver. This was kind of a game stack. And then I went with Terrell Pryor, Kelsey, Theo Riddick, who was also part of the game stack, Christian Michael, and just didn't quite have enough firepower to take this thing down, but very pleased with this entry. Again, there's a couple things I'll dive into here in a second, but I feel really good about my process using the multi-lineups tool in FantasyLabs and basically going in on a core and trying to make a lot of game stacks. So we look at the winning team here. Papa Gates and Simo 22 Wesley both won. Congrats to them at 247.2. Remember that score, 247.2. But here's the Millie Maker winning lineup. We had Stafford, McCoy, Vereen, Brown, Marvin Jones, Pryor, Zach Miller, T.Y. Hilton, and the Seahawks D. Very nice team. Won it with the Seahawks D only getting 3 points, which is incredible. Simo had a different team, and they still end up with the same score. Like all the plays here, DeMarco Murray, Charles Sim, Landry, Nelson, Allen Robinson was probably one of my higher owned receivers this week in GPPs. I really liked him and Amari Cooper going back to that young talent at receiver. So good teams here. 247.2 took it down. Obviously, they split the million and the 100,000, I believe it was, or 200,000 for a second. So each took home 600,000 in this contest, which is incredible. Big congrats to them. Now, here's why I was tilted all weekend. I had this team in all the small Thursday contests, and you'll see here it used all Sunday players. So I made 150 lineups for the Thursday slate, 150 lineups for the Sunday slate on FantasyLabs, and unfortunately this team came in on the Thursday teams, even though it was all Sunday players, and it scored 257.9. So as you can see here, I would have won the Millionaire Maker by 10 points, which is just infuriating. But I really love this team. Again, kind of the same concept, trying to get a stack of the game. Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Marvin Jones. I made sure to have those guys together. Then Christian Michael, Charles Sims, Melvin Gordon, had the Chiefs D, Jarvis Landry. This team just went completely off for 257.9. Ended up getting passed in this tournament, which you'll see here. There's 147,000 people at $4. So $25,000 swing with Kobe Fleener going absolutely off on Monday Night Football, which was minorly tilting, but I was more upset on Sunday, just wishing I had this lineup, in on the Sunday contest. And if you take a look here, had a ton of teams again do really well, and feel great about my process of making tournament lineups, which is a lot of fun in the NFL. So that was a frustrating part, but the good news was I did have one saving grace on on Monday Night Football. I did take home a qualifier seat to the DraftKings Championship, which I'm really excited about. Should be a ton of fun in New York, and I feel really good about this team. So this is one of the teams. It's a $300 buy-in. It was on Thursday. So I made 8 teams here, and you can see I had some good teams and some bad teams, but I was really trying to mix in different plays in these higher buy-in qualifiers. So the team that won was Ryan Tannehill, and then Mark Ingram did get there for me, on Monday night, which was a lot of fun. Charles Sims, who was a big part of my core, Marvin Jones, Jarvis Landry, Terrell Pryor, Jordan Reed, who I actually liked quite a bit this week, and I like a lot in week 4. I didn't have the game I was hoping for, but still a nice performance. Allen Robinson and Bengals D. I think this team is really solid overall, and definitely stoked that I took home a Q on DraftKings. So hope this was helpful for you guys. You can kind of see here through all these different tournaments and my cash game team, kind of my process on the week. Felt really good about it. I worked really hard, and FantasyLabs was certainly a huge help. If there's anything else you guys would like to see me do on these lineup reviews, absolutely happy to do it. Hit me up on Twitter or leave comments on YouTube. Certainly want to implement your feedback, but hope this was helpful, and as always, looking to see more FantasyLabs subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.